So I am Gary Spaniak. I am the co-owner of Springfield Coach with my dad, who's also Gary Spaniak. I'm the third. Our background is custom classic cars and building hot rods.
My name is Dustin Campbell, and I am the Director of Product Development here at Springfield Coach Group. And my background is I'm a military veteran of both the Air Force and the Army, and grew up doing custom classic cars much like G3 and his father, and most recently worked directly and indirectly in the funeral industry for about the last 5 years.
That's a question.
Next one.
All right, who is a CG?
Springfield Coach is started out as a manufacturing facility. It has been in business for a little over 50 years. The Springfield Coach name has roots here in Springfield, Missouri, as one of the largest limousine manufacturers in the country. Recently, we have expanded our lineup and have gone to hearses as well as removal vehicles.
When I started here, I came directly out of the funeral industry, and kind of started out as a joke. I kind of told G3 and his dad that we should design a hearse, and much to my chagrin, they just agreed. They said something that had been in their in the forefront of their mind for a while, but they didn't really have the knowledge or the know-how. And so, with that, they kind of gave me the reins to kind of give them ideas to design a fleet of funeral vehicles that were both. They both gave off a really high perceived value, but at the same time had more function than any other vehicle that was on the market. So I tried to take my real world experience as a funeral director in the funeral industry and pass that knowledge of those pain points on to Gary and his father in order to design a vehicle that fully functions as well as looks good at the same time and gives that high professional appearance. And we've created something really great.
A lot of the design is just trial and error, and like Dustin said, being in the funeral industry, he knew a lot of the wants and needs and practicality of a lot of things. So we kind of built a lot of things over function with form. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we already had a great platform to start off with, so we knew we were going to give a high perceived value with the Mercedes chassis. We just really, obviously my pain points and the things I wanted to see may not be the same as everybody else, so we were gracious enough to have several funeral homes throughout the country and several medical examiners' offices and mortuary transport companies consult with us and tell us, you know, they wanted to see this and not that. So a lot of it was just a lot of time of R&D and trial and error and things like that.
The Mercedes Metris honestly just came about being that Ford Motor Company and GM are getting out of the livery industry. And what better way to revamp the industry than come out with something that has more perceived value to your customers than a Mercedes-Benz, especially with the success of the Mercedes Sprinter and how receptive that has been. The Mercedes V-Class Metris gives that perceived value, and it's a less expensive build than a even higher end car if we wanted to turn into a hearse.
Yeah, so basically exactly what he said. So we pretty much knew from the get-go that the hearse side of it was going to be an uphill battle, right? Like, yeah. We knew that we're not here to build the same hearse that your dad and your grandfather and those people before that had. We are very much trend breakers, and so we knew that was going to be something different, but we did find more functionality through the Mercedes hearse. And we kind of use the old analogy of, like, when you're at a stoplight, you see a Chevy sedan and you think that's a really nice car, and then you see a Cadillac and you think, man, I'd really rather have that Cadillac. And it doesn't matter what the third vehicle that pulls up beside it is. If it's got a Mercedes emblem, you're immediately attracted to that Mercedes emblem. So it gives a very high perceived value with a low initial chassis cost. But on the funeral end of that, as far as removal vehicles, It does get somewhat embarrassing at times, and it's probably more for a guy like me that's buried in the funeral industry here in my local community than bigger corporate companies. But when you arrive at a family's house to remove their loved one who's recently passed, showing up in a Lincoln Town Car, or a Dodge Caravan, and with a piece of plywood in the back and loading a stretcher in the back of it, or a cot, that's your very first impression as the funeral home, regardless of who's driving that vehicle. And I have felt that since I've been personally doing removals in the Mercedes Metris chassis, people immediately see the Mercedes-Benz logo. They think this is a stand-up company. They don't think that guy has so much money, he hauls decedents around in Mercedes. They think this person takes a lot of care of what they're doing. And then when they see the inside of it and they see the surgical precision in which it's put together and the good lighting, they get a sense of comfort right off the bat before they've ever sat down to make their first arrangements that their loved one, whoever it may be, is in the best care. But along with that, it offers all these COVID-proof barriers, with it being able to be washed and having ventilation and disinfected in minutes. It just really seemed like a good fit. And we know that over time, Chevy, people will start building, anybody can build anything off of any chassis. And so we knew that over time people would continue to build on Cadillacs and Lincolns without these livery programs, but we wanted to be able to afford people the ability to have a just as good of a warranty, if not better. And that's why we offer the warranty we do, which is completely bulletproof.
The only one thing I also want to add is now there's this sense of uniform in their fleet.
Absolutely, yeah.
So now they have the removal vehicle, a limousine, and a hearse. That's all a Mercedes Metris V-Class, and it gives them that fleet look.
That's correct. It does give you that professional fleet livery look. So. Funeral fleet.
When you loaded me up in a stretcher.
That was probably the best part, is when we used G to make sure that we could fit people in the removal vehicle.
To make sure
trial and error.
Listen, we've tested these things personally.
Yeah, personally, we've literally.
No. I don't know. Our favorite part is just being able to revolutionize something, to make something new, something that hasn't been done before. Is always exciting. To see the loves of a new vehicle and the hate of it. It's all a fun package. But at the end of the day, it's just meeting new people, getting people what they need, and helping them make money.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Getting into an industry that is definitely an industry that's always going to be here, and being able to provide these last responders and funeral directors with adequate equipment and functional vehicles, I think has been the best. Obviously, my favorite part is when a person reluctantly buys it, and then they get it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best vehicle ever. This works so well, and we feel safer, and they feel safer." Or the family felt like
family hearse idea.
They really like the pomp and circumstance of being able to take dad for a last drive, or escort their brother to his final resting place. I think that's been warming all over.
There's a lot of things I look forward to in this upcoming year. Number one, everyone to be able to get out and do stuff. I personally am a big racer, so I love getting out and racing. But honestly, I can't wait to get back to shows. I can't wait to get back to the trade shows and be able to show our products off to people. I really miss interacting with them, having them give us their feedback. Like Dustin said, we've worked a lot with other examiners and other funeral homes, things like that, but it's such a small scale to everybody we get to see at a show, and I'm really excited to get back to a show and show everybody the things we can do.
Yeah, same thing. I think I do. I'm really looking forward to seeing the longevity of these vehicles become implanted in the funeral industry, now that people are finally getting to a point where they're realizing that there isn't much out of Ford and there isn't much out of Chevy, and seeing that this is kind of the new face. I can't wait to see more and more of them on the road and going to shows and just kind of getting in a, for us guys that are in the limo industry who've been in it, is kind of it's a shake-up for us, right?
Yeah.
So we're meeting new people and making new networking, and it's always good because I get to learn more as a funeral director from other funeral directors, and G3 gets to learn about a completely different industry that's always been right in front of us. So really I look forward to a lot of growth as far as the Mercedes Metris funeral lineup in the next year.
Yeah,
So
Sounds good.